And hello parents. I hope you've all had a good and a restful summer break. I also hope that you're looking forward to this new school year. With all the work that's been done nationally to manage the COVID-19 pandemic, and the government has allowed us to go back to the ways that most of you will remember how the school worked before March 2020. For most of you, it will be a relief, I hope, to return to the school in the ways that you knew. That means without zone restrictions, that means not staggered starts and ends to the day, or the need for social distancing. For others of you, I think you've only known the school under the restrictions, so you'll be discovering a whole new way of being at Watford Girls. I've recorded this film and I'm releasing it now so that you can be prepared for what it's like for when you return to Watford Girls from Tuesday. First of all, I think I'd talk about what is and is not going to change. So, first of all, we will continue with enhanced cleaning. We still employ more cleaners than we've had before, and they will be working throughout the day to ensure that key areas of the school do remain as clean as possible. We are also asking you to ensure that you do not come onto site with coronavirus symptoms. So that's called self-disclosure, telling us if you have the symptoms and then acting appropriately, staying at home. Face coverings or PPE are not going to be expected, and they are going to be voluntary now. We will continue with the use of devices, so you will be using devices in your lessons and you should bring them to school. We also continue to use Microsoft Teams in a variety of different ways. However, and much to my relief, we are not going to be having any zones. So all students will have lessons throughout the school, and there won't be specific areas that you're not going to be able to go into, for example, and all of the food areas you can use in years 7 to 11. You can use the new stables or the main food factory. Everyone is going to start at the same time, and the school is going to finish at the same time for everybody. And uniform is back to normal, so you'll be wearing your normal school uniform throughout the day. You're bringing your PE kit to get changed in, and you won't be wearing coats in classrooms or around the buildings. So, a little bit more detail. We should all continue to use advanced hygiene strategies. So that's making sure that all of us wash our hands for at least 20 seconds to make sure they're thoroughly cleaned, or using hand sanitizer, which are going to be still placed all the way around the school if you're using shared equipment, or before you eat or after you eat. And definitely before you, when it comes to the face, before you touch your face with your hands. You can continue to use face coverings should you wish, although it may be that if it's preventing us from being able to hear you, then we may ask you to remove it for those particular times. And they still need to be plain face coverings. Social distancing is not as required as it was before. However, we are going to ensure that the rooms remain as ventilated as we possibly can. Once all of the mass testing is completed, you are going to be requested to carry out the lateral flow tests twice a week. And you'll need to report those results to the National Health Service line and to the school. Now, we've put links onto the website, and I'm also going to produce a guide to go alongside what I'm talking about now, and the links will be in there as well. Now, self-disclosure is you need to make sure that you're keeping an eye out for the main symptoms of coronavirus, as shown here. So that's a temperature, a persistent new cough, a loss of smell, and a loss of taste. If those happen, then you need to stay at home, or if you get a positive lateral flow test, you need to stay at home. And if you develop those symptoms while you're at school, you need to make sure you tell your teachers, and that you can then go to the medical team. And you will therefore be sent home from that point. Now, what happens if you got a positive test? Well, if you have shown any of the symptoms of coronavirus, or if you get your lateral flow test, then you will be asked to, one, contact the school using the COVID email, and again, that's going to be in the guide, and then you need to get a PCR test. The PCR test is going to tell you whether you are negative or whether you are positive, and if you are positive, you will then need to self-isolate for 10 days. Stay at home and isolate for 10 days. Now, this is what has changed. Anyone who's been in close contact with someone who's tested positive for coronavirus will then be contacted by Public Health England and not by the school anymore. Now, students under the age of 18 and 6 months do not need to self-isolate, so you will stay in school, unlike previously. Any adults over the age of 18 and 6 months who have had 2 vaccinations and need to have had at least 2 weeks after the second vaccination, you do not need to self-isolate either. If you have been in close contact, however, you will be encouraged to carry out a PCR test within a few days to see whether you have also developed coronavirus. Now, if you are absent due to COVID, then we will expect that you are able to work from home. If you're not well enough to work from home, then you need to contact the absence line, and we will therefore know that you cannot work. If you're working from home, we will make sure that the resources are placed on Microsoft Teams for you to be able to access. Now, at the moment, we don't have enough technology to allow this for all year groups. So at the moment, years 11 and 13, we will be able to live stream the lessons for you. And again, if you are off due to COVID and you haven't told us you're not well enough, we will expect you to arrive in those lessons. And then for other year groups, as we make sure we've got enough technology, and particularly as we make sure that you students have learnt how to be able to use the live streaming technology to maybe use Teams, then we will slowly be able to roll that out for more year groups. Now, the government have asked us to put in place what's called an outbreak management plan. And if you look in the guide, you'll be able to see that. And then you can also see the link to the risk assessment that we've written. Now, an outbreak management plan is put in place if, for example, we have 5 pupils or staff who have been in a mixed close contact group and 5 of you test positive for coronavirus within a 10-day period. So that's quite complex. I will put that in place if, in consultation with Public Health England, they decide you're now in a position where there is an outbreak in your school. And what do we mean by close contact? So that's 5 who might be in the same form group or in the same subject group, friendship groups, for example, as I said, sports teams, whether you've been in an after-school activity or any form of group, for example, such as a year group. If that is the place, then we will increase the strategies that we have to be able to manage coronavirus. So it could be, and it's not necessarily any of these because I'll have to work very closely with Public Health England to decide these. It could be that we review and we adapt the current cleaning regimes. It could be that we then start to require face coverings to be worn, either by that particular year group or that particular class, or it could be in different areas of the school. It could be that we ask particular groups of people to do daily lateral flow tests. It could be that I need to make a very difficult decision to not have large group gatherings. So, for example, we stop having assemblies in the hall. And I will resist this as much as I possibly can, but if it's necessary, then we will do some form of zoning. And at the very last resort, will we restrict attendance? Unlike previously, not sending home year groups or either on a short-term basis. If we have to, because none of the strategies previously have prevented that outbreak from continuing, then this is what we might have to do, but we will resist it at all costs. But this is great because what we can now do is we can return to some of the things that we all loved. So clubs and societies are going to be back. We're going to start planning trips again. We will start having assemblies in the main hall. Concerts and plays can start to be planned. and you will be moving around the school. So you're going to have to get to know the site again. Now, talking about that, you have to remember things have changed. So the start of the school day is now at 8:30, so you need to be in your classrooms ready to study from 8:30 in the morning. And we have the new times of the day. Don't worry, we've put signs up everywhere so that you can know when you need to move and at what time and to where. We've also renamed some of the school classrooms, so you'll need to get used to the fact that certain rooms, such as the history room, is now MB3. Don't worry again, we've put maps around the school so that you can see this. It's also going to be written on your timetable, what the name is now and what the name was, just in case anyone who's been here for a long time is used to the old names. Same. There are things that have changed. There are things that are going back to the way they were, and there are things that we're going to have to keep to make sure that we maintain coronavirus security. But I so look forward to seeing you back in school on Tuesday. I look forward to hearing your voices in the corridors, seeing you playing on the fields, seeing you reading in the library, and seeing you participate in musicals and hearing you sing. I look forward to welcoming you back. Bye, girls. See you at school.